AnTuTu. What is it about? What is AnTuTu test? What is AnTuTu about? Your top creators must have mentioned this name a lot of time in their videos, but have they really explained it to you? Well, in this video, that's what I'm going to do right here. And for you to get an AnTuTu score, you must actually do an AnTuTu test. The question is, what is an AnTuTu test? Well, an AnTuTu test is actually a real-life testing or a theoretical testing that is done on a phone to actually know its full performance of that phone. Those performance is what gives you the AnTuTu score. The question is, how do they really go about this AnTuTu score? Well, first of all, they actually combine your CPU score of the phone, the GPU score of the phone, the memory score, as well as the user experience score. Alright, this is actually what they use, to make up a AnTuTu or an AnTuTu test. Okay, so let me break down this for you guys, especially those people who are not tech savvy. They know themselves. When it comes to memory score, I'm actually talking about the RAM speed. This is the reason why when someone tells me I want to buy a phone, or my phone actually has 12 gig RAM, 8 gig RAM, this 1 gig RAM, brother, is the RAM fast? That's the question to ask yourself. Okay, now the next one is actually GPU. Now this GPU actually focuses on the graphics performance and the gaming performance. The CPU score is focused on multitasking and app speed. Alright, the next one is actually the user experience score. Okay, this one, graphic designers are familiar with this one. Alright, this is actually talking about user experience. How smooth is the animation? Alright, how smooth is the animation of that phone? Okay, does it glitch? Does it lag? This is part of the combination that forms the entire AnTuTu test. Alright, so now we have known everything about AnTuTu test. Let's come down to the phones and the scores for these phones. Alright, or example of what I'm talking about. A phone with less than 3,000 score points is very bad. Alright, you see, this type of phones, they lag very badly. Alright, I mean, like, they lag, not just they lag basic things, they lag. Games like Subway Surf, it's they lag. Jeez, these phones lag a lot. So what are an example of such a phone? One example of such a phone is actually Samsung Galaxy A14. That's the reason why I get angry. Alright, because Apple users now, the aka fashion trenders, they'll be the ones that will say Android phones lag. Now they won't tell you now that this phone, the A14 now, is actually a low budget phone, a low budget Android phone. It's not our fault that Apple doesn't have a low budget or the low budget smartphone didn't sell. We all know when Apple released the iPhone SE, that phone was a who knows about the SE today? Nobody knows about SE, but it was a phone that Apple made for people in which they can afford the premium Apple phone. And people know about the SE. I just thought that it failed. Anyways, I don't want to go there. Now, before I forget, I want to also add to you guys that CPU score is always going to be affected by the chipset. So if you are using a low budget chipset or a MediaTek Dimensity chipset that is low, alright, of course the CPU is going to always be low. It's a must. It will be low. Now, if the phone actually has or scored between 300,000 to 500,000, AnTuTu score, such a phone is actually good, for basic use. Alright, but it's terrible, okay, for heavy gaming. I won't recommend. Okay, now such a phone is actually the Samsung Galaxy A52. A phone that actually has or scored between 500,000 to 800,000 AnTuTu score. Alright, such a phone is actually good, for medium usage. Alright, and also good for good video gaming. Alright, like high quality gaming, but for medium range. Alright, not really for high quality of this heavy gaming. Alright, an example of such a phone is actually older premium phones. Alright, for example, the S series of Samsung, older S series. We're talking about the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. These are phones in which they are in this category. a phone actually scores between 800,000 to 1 million AnTuTu score. All right, these are actually main flagship. All right, like Samsung phones that came out 2 to 3 years ago. All right, these are phones in which that are in this category. Okay, and these phones, when you use them for gaming, they're actually very smooth. Okay, like everything, you don't experience lag or whatever. They're smooth. An example of such a phone is actually the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra. That's an example. When it comes to phones with over 1 million AnTuTu score, we're actually talking about the superiority in capabilities. We're actually talking about the ultra high. We're talking about the Akpamu #1 of performance. Right, these are actually phones that are great and massive. All right, an example of such a phone is actually the Honor 400 Pro, the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, and the OnePlus 13. Okay, don't bother. The iPhone 16 Pro Max is not even in this category. Don't even bother. Now, when you look at all these tests that we've done so far, if you're a gamer, it's obvious that you're going to get a phone that has at least 500,000 AnTuTu score to 1 million. That should be your range. And the 500,000 is actually based on, say, money not day. You understand? That's the reason why you get such a phone. Because I have seen in the past, people will tell me things like the chipsets I'm using, for example, the A73 chipset using Snapdragon, this one, that one. Do you think brand companies are fools? So because of the phones using Snapdragon now, and the phone is having an AnTuTu score of 500,000, but are you not reasoning that that same phone actually, this is built with plastic material, a cheap material? What happens when it comes to overheat? In fact, this leads me to this. If a phone actually has a very high AnTuTu score and has a low 3D performance or more, the phone will be good though. It will be smooth, but after using that phone for like 20 to 30 minutes, the phone will be hot too. Fire! Overheating will kill that phone. All right, now this leads me to part 2.